Hey guys, this is New Sensei. Today I want to cover an incident which happened at a different club last week, which is so bizarre, but at the same time a serious incident that this has to be covered, and it might bring up some implications for the way you run your range. This article was published on the 24th of May, so a few days ago, referring to an incident which happened last Sunday. I'll put the link in the description below, and it reads as follows. Arrow assault at range. An Aspendale Gardens man was stabbed with an arrow during a heated confrontation at Moorabbin Archery Club at the weekend. A Cheltenham man, 22, was allegedly shooting arrows in a dangerous manner at the range in Turner Road, 10:30 a.m. Sunday, 21st May. A club official, 79, approached to give some advice, but the man became aggressive and abusive towards a volunteer, a life member of the club. The official stopped all target practice until the man left the field, which he did, but not before knocking the official's hat off his head. Seeing this, a man in his 40s nearby tackled the offender and both went to the ground in a scuffle broken up by bystanders. The 22-year-old man allegedly grabbed an arrow from a quiver and lunged at the man in his 40s, striking him twice and causing minor wounds. Bystanders restrained the offender until police arrived. He was taken to Moorabbin Police Station for interview and released. He is expected to be charged on summons with assault. Now, when I first read this, I recognized right away that this is the typical news report where the details are rather ambiguous. It's probably just a telephone interview with some details being jotted down, and of course, being a police matter, they can't name names or be too specific. However, the way the report was written seems to imply that the 22-year-old shooter was assaulted and he was defending himself, and some people get the wrong impression as to what actually happened. Now, I do know some of the people involved in this incident and had the chance to speak to other members who gave me the insight, so I want to clarify what actually happened and why this is a lot more serious than it sounds. So what I've been told is that the 22-year-old shooter is not a member. He was part of the club's OSBO program. So it's the club's beginner instruction program. So he's using club equipment as a visitor. From what I've been told, the man was shooting over the targets deliberately because he was told by the club official, and he continued to do so. So he was ignoring the official's instructions and shooting over the target. So that was what was described as the dangerous shooting in the article, and that led to the verbal abuse from the visitor. So he began to shout and abuse the life member, who's 79 years old. I know who he is. He's a man with a walking stick. So he's copped this abuse, and he has his hat knocked off. Now, the article is a bit ambiguous as to exactly what happened here, but from what I've been told by witnesses, the visitor knocked off the official's hat, and as the official went to pick it up, the visitor moved in to punch him in the head. And the article doesn't mention this, but that's apparently what happened. So it was an aggressive assault on an elderly man. From what people described, the man was quite crazy or off his rocker. I'm just quoting here. So there was clear intent to harm, so the people nearby intervened and tackled him to the ground. It wasn't an out of nowhere grab and pull him down. It seemed to be a clear attempt to stop this man from hurting this elderly gentleman. So that seems to be what happened. Now, the man agreed to leave the field after this altercation, and what he then did was he grabbed an arrow from a quiver and assaulted the other man who restrained him. In this case, the arrow wounds were very minor. The man was wearing, I think, 3 layers of jackets, so the actual wound was like 5 millimeters, a typical target arrow. So no actual injury, just jabbed through his jacket. And then he was restrained by a club member who, I've been told many times, is a former French police officer. So he was properly handled, I'd imagine, until the police came and apprehended the visitor. This happened last weekend. There's been no official word from the state association, from the club itself throughout the week, but things have been running quite normally, so I assume it's been kind of pushed away and it's over and done with, apart from the charges which are being made. From what I've been told, the official was quite shaken up at the time, but he's okay now, so that seems to be fine. So, based on what I've heard, the article is a little ambiguous, as expected. What actually happened was a lot more intense. There was more at risk, not just the safety of the elderly club official, but also the other visitors and the children around as well. So, what the club did and had to do was appropriate from what I've heard. It was handled in the best way possible. Now, like I said before, this is the first time I've heard of something like this happen. It's just so bizarre and extreme that this is something you never see in your lifetime, man. Well, that's once now. So, does that change the way we run things at archery clubs? Well, no, it shouldn't. Everything is supervised. People will do what they're told. They're normally compliant because they're here to have fun, they're here to learn something. As a club, you're providing that service and that entertainment. So it's not normally a case where you come across people who are going to be aggressive or belligerent. Like I said, this is the first time I've come across anybody or heard of anyone who has been that aggressive towards somebody else. I've had some funny characters in archery, but nothing quite like that. So that is something that's so rare that I don't think it's going to be set in stone that a club has to do certain things to ensure it won't happen again. So this affects basically any activity, whether it's a sport activity or any community activity. You might always have a chance. There's always a chance that somebody who comes onto your grounds or somebody who participates in your program might not be compliant, in which case you do need protocols in place to ensure that the club staff and members do the right thing and are fully safe. I know a lot of people are asking about tips on running clubs and they want to start their own club at school and that sort of thing. And there are a few nitty-gritty things which you have to consider, and one of them is safety protocols. Here, especially in Australia and Victoria, we've just had this new push for child-safe practices, and there are standards which we have to ensure that children especially are protected. And having people who are aggressive or volatile is a risk to all people at the club, members, visitors, children, and so on. So you do need something in place should something go wrong. Even something as simple as a ceasefire signal, you need to make sure everybody on the line knows what to do. This is why schools practice lockdowns and evacuations. I know a lot of people don't take them very seriously, but they are meant to be serious, because if something does legitimately go wrong, then the people have to enact the right protocols. Otherwise, things get a lot worse. People do get hurt. As far as my personal experience goes, the closest thing I'd probably compare it to is dealing with rogue shooters. We used to have a lot of people come off the street and use our field without authorization. And sometimes they are honest, good-meaning people who just don't know, but often they will just flout the rules. They don't give a shit about what the club says or what who tells them what they can and can't do, and they'll just do whatever they want. And they've got a bow. If they want to be aggressive and belligerent, then that's a risk to the members. And I've had people become very abusive, even after being civil about it. Some people feel entitled and they don't give a shit about what you think they can and can't do. So it's been a bit of a problem back in my mind. The club's dealt with that by removing all standing targets. So our members suffer, but so do the visitors. We can't deal with rogue shooters. So those are people who have bought eBay bows and think they can shoot at whatever they want. So that is a bit of a problem. The other physical risk I've encountered is nearly being run over by a car. Our club shares a field or is beside a football oval, and sometimes football spectators intrude the field and they park the cars nearby. They're not meant to. It's illegal, and we're told to not let people in. But they deliberately bypass us. This one incident the other week, there was we were doing works on the grounds and the gate was unlocked. So this person, he got out of the car, opened the gate, and started driving through the line. And I stepped in front of the car. And he would have driven past me if I hadn't just like walked away in front, but he didn't give a shit. So I waved him down, told him he can't park here, locking the gate, and he flipped me off, swore at me, did a 180 burnout. And it wasn't like I was like dodging it, but we were that close, and he was so close to the line with the kids and visitors, where if he lost control of the car, he would have like barreled into like 5 or 6 people. So that was cause for concern. And my problem is that some people don't see this as a big incident. Like, I reported this to the local authorities, the council, and there's no response. And this sort of thing is unacceptable. It might seem okay because he was quite far away, but this sort of aggression is exactly what you have to be prepared to deal with. We get people who intrude the field, who park there, and we tell them. But as members ask, should we tell them to do something? I'm beginning to get more apprehensive about getting our members to get out there and talk to these people, because there is a threat, there is a risk involved. What if these people become verbally abusive? What if they become physically violent? And given that we are a very multicultural club, and we do live in a society which can be very closed-minded, the race card gets thrown out quite a lot. I hate playing the race card, but they look down on you and think, oh, who the hell are you to tell me what to do? So it's not nice. And again, like, this sort of thing doesn't happen often, but there are spikes which occur, like this one which happened with Rabin, when the motivations are different. I don't know what the guy was thinking, but you do have to be prepared for this worst case scenario. Should you change anything? Should you alter your routine? Should you close your activities? No, I don't think this is something you should have to modify the entire program for. But you really do have to keep these risks in mind. If you're running a club or you're part of a club and you haven't really thought about these situations, then I think you should. Having that safety policy there, having that procedure in place is going to be much better should this ever happen than being caught out unprepared. Anyway, this is New Sensei. That's my report on the situation. It's weird, it's bizarre, but I'm really glad that it's mostly fizzled over, and hopefully you never see this happen to you. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.